Hello everyone, and I want to have a little bit of a conversation regarding DLCs and expectations, because most of us, including myself actually, had expectations that there was going to be 2 DLCs this year, as has been the norm. It's long content droughts as it stands, but 2 DLCs is better than nothing. Well, it does very much look like there is only going to be 1 DLC this year, for a number of reasons, and I want to talk about that because I want to talk about just CA as a whole. I think that's actually quite important. So Tides of Torment, the presumably only DLC that we'll see this year for Total War Warhammer 3, was given a soft announcement very recently during Skulls. Literally not much has been confirmed about the DLC, we know next to nothing about it, barring the fact that it's Sinesh, Norska, an unknown faction, literally just like 1 or 2 new units so far. Obviously there's more to be expected, and we don't know the 3rd faction just yet. Hell, the teaser trailer was just literally a teaser showing off Nightmare. That's pretty much it. And it's been generally quiet. We have seen a few animation reels and then they even stopped at that, though I could imagine that they've buried their heads in the sand after the community started getting a bit angry with the fact that they were just posting the same animation reels again and again, which to be honest I completely agree with. At the end of the day, they should have started showing some other stuff, started doing some soft announcements of other units, because it does generate the hype. Now we do have a little bit more information. At the end of June, we'll be getting a look at the 3rd and final faction for Tides of Torment. At this point it could be anyone, but many people are speculating that it's going to be High Elves, which does make sense, as really they're a faction that does have a lot of DLC potential. So this does mean that we're going to have to wait a fair amount of time for some proper news, and it is kind of concerning that now it's been, what, every month and a bit to get a reveal, more or less? Which is really strange. The reveals are very spread out, much more so than it was for Thrones of Decay or Omens of Destruction. So an educated guess here could say that the DLC will either be July or August. I think that's pretty much expected at this point. The fact that they're not showing a lot does actually lead to some sort of concern. Now, I'm not saying that they should hurry up because a rushed DLC is a bad one. That's how we get stuff like Shadows of Change, but the lack of communication as a whole has been fairly concerning, because no news with CA is not generally good news. Obviously at this point we know that CA Sophia have taken over Total War Warhammer with the fantasy setting, so it does lead to a lot of questions. Obviously this is a company that was mostly focused on historicals and a little dab into mythology, but they're probably still trying to find their bearings, which does make me question where CA Horsham are. We know at this point a lot of them are probably working on the next game right now, because we do know that there's supposed to be an announcement this year. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. And CA Sophia have had a few DLCs under their belt now. Some of them joined in for Thrones of Decay. A fair amount of them were already involved when it came to Omens, and it does look like it's majority Sophia when it comes to the next DLC, Tides of Torment. But we have to take into account here that it's a mostly historical studio now getting thrown into a fantasy setting, a very complicated one at that. They are probably finding a few hurdles, not only for the creation of units, but also making sure that everything is law compliant and, you know, to Games Workshop standards, because we do know that GW is very heavily involved with these things. But does lead me to question why things are still taking too long. CA Sophia are generally quite fast at working at stuff. We've seen that with Pharaoh Dynasties. While that wasn't really a success of a game, they did turn it around quite quickly, so we're going to have to wait and see what is going on there. It's just at this point, many people were expecting things to just kind of speed up. I do think Creative Assembly said that at some point too. It's very strange because their communication is so minimal that just anything they say just kind of falls off the radar. Same thing as like how they promise Siege reworks constantly, and they've re-established that they want to do a Siege rework again. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, that's the fallout from Hyenas and also Shadows of Change kicking in. The thing is, it's been a while now. Shadows of Change and Hyenas was a while ago for the drama, and they've been actively hiring since. Hell, they even confirmed a brand new game is in development, you know, with Alien Isolation 2. And I keep up with the job sites posting Creative Assembly listings just because I'm kind of curious, you know, and I have seen them actively recruiting. They have been actively recruiting for new staff for Alien Isolation and for other titles too, it seems. At a certain point, Hyenas and Shadows of Change can't really be used as excuses anymore. They have been rehiring, they have been retraining. It might just be a management issue more than anything else, because it does seem like that's going to be a problem, especially when other things come into play. This year, 2025, is supposed to be a massive celebration for Total War. It's their 25th anniversary for the franchise, and they even said in a blog post at the end of last year, throughout the year we'll have new, free and DLC content for Warhammer 3. Sure, but we've had practically nothing. Yes, we did have 2 new units come in with patch 6.1, and it is confirmed that we will have 2 new units in patch 6.2, the Blood Knights with Sword and Shield, and also the Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower, but that's not really that massive of a celebration, is it? And that's just for Warhammer 3. The actual quote continues saying we also want to take a look at the past as we celebrate our storied catalogue of releases, journeying through each title that's been released since 2000. Well, there's been nothing. We're in June already. It's kind of odd that no start of celebration has started just yet. You'd think that the clock would have started ticking the moment it would have hit January. They do also say here that they hope to reveal a new project or some new projects, which could be 2 new titles, at the end of next year. But at this point, hope and we're going to very different words. Now I'll see people coming up with the argument that the celebrations won't really start until mid-June, as the first Total War game, Shogun Total War, was released in June 12th in North America and June 16th for Europe. So it could just be that they're waiting until mid-June to start those celebrations. If nothing really happens in June, I would start showing some concern. Maybe Creative Assembly are going by the financial year, which means that their year, 2025, only actually started in April, because that's the end of the financial year for them. I know that sounds weird, but some companies actually do it like that. The cracks, at least for me, started to show when they did the announcement for Skulls. This is the whole thing of, oh yeah, there's not going to be a legendary lord or a legendary hero, because we've shifted our priorities to the game updates. And yes, I do agree that the patches have been very good. 6.1 has been, frankly, amazing. Kislev is now fun to play. Kairos has a lot to go for, but it does make me question, is a lot of attention going into these patches? Is there no separate team? And the DLCs are suffering for it. Omens of Destruction was a decent DLC, but it wasn't Thrones of Decay level. This next DLC, Tides of Torment, needs to be closer to Thrones than it was Omens. I think the community would agree that an 8-month drought isn't so bad when you compare it to a Thrones of Decay level DLC, but Omens of Destruction was not really worth that time. If it was around 5 months, yeah, sure, that's a bit better, but you have to look at it in that regard. Quality is quite important, especially for the price that they're asking for. I just wanted to talk about this today because, yeah, it's starting to raise questions. The fact is, I don't think that it was the perfect time for them to announce Alien Isolation 2. It does feel like they're starting to work on multiple projects again, and maybe Creative Assembly can't. It does feel like Creative Assembly is a completely different company compared to how it was in Warhammer 2, where they had 3 active titles that were working on future titles too. Things were going around quite smoothly. I'd like to get proven wrong, but it does feel like they're stretching themselves too thin again, and that's basically what happened with everything else. Hyenas itself, gameplay-wise, wasn't too bad. It was just really cringe. I'm hoping Creative Assembly start waking up a bit. If by the time of the anniversary there's not a real big announcement or just like a proper celebration, I will start to feel like maybe even the next title, which they said they were going to announce this year, might get pushed back to 2026 for an announcement, or you could even see a game get pushed back another year. It does feel very strange that everything is just radio silent right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below to start a bit of discussion. Just wanted to talk about it because honestly, I have been looking at things a little bit more open-eyed now since I've been taking a break. I've been focusing on some projects which I will have on the channel soon, but in most cases it's like, yeah, it is very, very quiet. And like I said, sometimes silence is good news, no news is good news, but with Creative Assembly, it's not really the case. Silence for them is more of a deflection tactic. But yeah, have a great day, guys. I'll see you all again, hopefully very, very soon. Bye.